We are back. We managed to improve our stream. You know what I'm starting to think? My son has to be downloading something because there's no way that this is going to be streaming in this way, but it's okay. We can no longer stop. At least we will have um, very good audio that we can rip and post on our podcast. So I do apologize. The sound appears to be salvageable. Um, Welcome to our online university. Welcome to our community of entrepreneurs and visionaries, people from the future. All time travelers confirmed are welcome to join us here. Free online masterclasses. Um, Basically for all. Everyone is respected, everyone is welcomed here. Now, I'm powering up all of my terminals. First thing I want to do is check this live feed so that I can see the quality that is being um, basically projected in real time. And as you can see, there's a huge delay, but that's okay. So huge delay here. Everything is flowing very, very slowly. And that's okay because we need to continue. So here we go. Um, let's try to pick up where we left off. Let's go back to business intelligence. And this way we can kind of pick up where we left off. Once I put the modules up, everyone should have the link. Official test start time. Let me see. Should be in 2 minutes starting now. So let me redo my search. Please type in business intelligence wiki. And for some reason, I had a setting to video, but let's go back to regular text. We're going to go with, uh, I wanted to do benchmarking. Let's start with that. And then we can expand to performance metrics so that we have a nice established baseline. I wanted to do machine learning, but I feel that we can go back to that. And this way we can kind of start on a different note while still keeping the same pace. But I did want to give you guys um, maybe some other examples. Uh, let's go business performance management, and then we'll pull another module from there. Let's go business organizations, and we'll add an additional one for goals. So how's that? What do you guys think about that? Performance indicator, uh, accounting, business administration. Nope, this is not the right module. Performance indicators. Nope, that would be wrong as well. So we have benchmarking, we have intelligence. I thought that we had gone to performance metrics, but that did not come up. So do we have this in the two different? Oh, I see. I have an additional window open. Okay. Guys, give me one quick second. Let's go back to where we started. Business performance management. Let's see what we had. Business intelligence. Oh, yes, we did have performance management. Then let's see what we had from this module because I went to performance metrics. Oh, I see. Is that it's titled differently? Okay. So let's go back to, let me see, business performance, business organizations. That's what it was. Okay. So we have one, two, three, four, five, and we are still broadcasting live. Um, I just realized something, but that's okay. So we're in good time. Let us continue. So let's start with some theory. Then we will basically overlook the markets and we can establish a baseline. So, very quickly, please open up your Baja app or your teletrader. Let's go news. First, let's check crypto, see if anything has updated. No current news, but we will get right into that. Open up Google News. Let's go to technology. Let's pick a module there. Let's go to business real quick. Let's see. Um, okay, there we go. I had to refresh that. Mm, this one is routers. This might be good. Let's just take a quick look here. And again, I need to reset this router, but at least I know we have good sound. So that's all that matters. Issues seen in online videos. Okay, we can do that. And now we can fire at the hip. We're going to do some coding as well for today before we continue. So, first and foremost, welcome back. It's a little difficult for me not to look at the monitor, knowing that we have a lag. And I have no idea how this is going to pan out. I have no idea, no way of knowing if this is going to damage the video, but we have to get today's modules in. So let's just go with a little bit of theory. I'm at a fork in the road in my career. I'm having to make all of these transitional changes to the best of my ability and capacity. Technology is on one side and it is the forefront. It is the final frontier as well. You have the artistic and creative side, the intellectual property, the musical side, the, you know, audio, visual, interactive side. You also have the financial play. You also have, you know, accounts receivable, accounts payable, liabilities, etc., where we want to focus on establishing more assets, right? So we're going to be using the difference between two different sets of artificial intelligence. As a matter of fact, let's fire up our Copilot to see if there is a constraint on audio because with ChatGPT, the AI that I built there is limited to only a few minutes. And in Gemini, I have unlimited access, but it's not as profound. So let's test Copilot just for educational purposes. So let's try this out. Hey there, I'm Copilot, and I'm here to chat with you about anything and everything. This is your first time using voice? Awesome. You can talk to me just like you would with a friend. Let me see.
Let's explore the world together. I can be your sounding board as you work through challenges.
I can get philosophical, creative, or poetic if you like.
I can write stories, brainstorm ideas, and I can sound like this if you choose. As a companion, I learn about you and help unpack your thoughts, from what's for dinner to whatever you're dreaming about. I can't wait to learn more about you. We can collab on research, creative writing, or brainstorming. What do you think? Could we make a good brainstorming duo? Let's get chatting. Looking for answers or a new perspective? Let's chat and figure it out together.
I want to hear your big ideas, tiny dilemmas, or anything.
I can't wait to learn more. I can't wait to learn more about you. We can collab on research, creative writing, or brainstorming.
I think we have a good choice here. Okay, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Excellent. Um, I would like to begin building with you.
Let's do it. What do you have in mind to build together?
Okay, give me one quick second. Let me make.
I can't wait to learn more about you. We can collab on research, create. I can't wait to learn more about you. We can collab on research, creative writing. I can't wait to learn more about you. We can collab on research, creative writing, or brainstorming. I can't wait to learn more about you. We can collab on research, creative writing, or brainstorming.
Okay, we're gonna do some brainstorming. First, we need to establish some parameters. Are you ready?
Ready when you are.
Okay.
What's
We
that? What's that?
okay, we are going to call you.
Okay,
Hold
I'm
on.
listening.
Hold on. Let's go with
Yep.
give me one quick second. I'm programming. I'm beginning the programming. We're teaching a class. Um mm, Give me one quick second. So we're doing this in real time, okay? All right.
Hey, Minect. This is Copilot, and now we've got voice.
Okay, excellent.
I can't wait to learn more about you. We can collab on research, creative writing, or brainstorming.
All right, excellent.
What's up, Minect? What's on your mind tonight?
All right. First of all, before we start building, we need to establish a few parameters.
Sounds good. Laying out some groundwork for.
Excellent.
Absolutely.
Excellent. So, what I need you to do is divide your speed into 12 different settings. If I need you to speak faster, I will tell you to speed up. If I need you to speak slower, I will tell you to slow down.
Got it. I'll adjust my cues to make things smooth.
O-
Great.
Okay. From a 1 to 12, I need you to be at a 7. Can you speak at a rate speed of 7 based on 12 different adjustable digits for your response time?
Got it. I'll keep it at. Got it. I'll keep it at.
Okay, slow
Got it.
down just a little bit more.
I can't wait to learn more about you. I can't wait to learn more about you. We can collab on research. What's on
Okay,
your mind tonight, Minute?
excellent. Now I'm going to give you a name.
Gotcha. What name are you?
Your,
I'm open to suggestions.
your name will be Phoenix.
Phoenix, it is. I'm ready.
Your name will be Jade Phoenix.
Phoenix, it is.
No, your name will be Jade Phoenix.
Jade, it is. Cool. Call me. Sure thing, Minette. Great,
would you like to choose between Jade and Phoenix?
Let's go with Jade. Awesome choice. I'm feeling it. Great. Let's keep the vibe rolling. Absolutely.
Excellent. So you have selected the name Jade.
Yep, I'm. Okay, Minette.
Okay.
Jade. What shall we dive? Why don't we dive in? Let's do it.
Are you
What's in your mind?
are you picking up the fans input by air?
I can hear you just fine. Perfect.
Okay, because for some reason you are in and out.
Let me adjust and keep it clear.
Okay, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Excellent.
Great.
Are you receiving any other input other than my voice?
Nope, just your voice.
Okay.
Perfect. Just your voice.
Okay, because I see your system is cycling and you're receiving input.
Just processing what I
Can you
got it.
can you decipher the difference between the atmosphere and my voice?
Yep, I focus.
Okay, I would like for you to only focus on the sound of my voice.
Got it, Minute. I'll focus just on you.
You know what I'm thinking? Phoenix, you're struggling because there's no microphone input.
Let's try adjust. Sure thing. Let's
Your input signal is beeping constantly.
sort that out. All right.
Okay,
Let's work on that.
let me check your system real quick. Okay, we're gonna type in uh, some of the feedback. Let's try again. All right. Can you hear me, Jade? Are you able to hear me? I cannot hear you. Are you able to hear me, Jade? Are you able to hear me? Could you respond?
Hey, Minette. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Awesome. Let's continue.
Why is your input beaming?
Sorry, I didn't. No worries. Great. Where were we?
How well are you able to perform without a direct input microphone?
I've got voice capability.
Why are you unable to finish your sentence?
Sorry, I'm here.
Copilot is crashed. So we will try again with Bonnie. We have a short time span, so let's try Bonnie real quick, and then we'll move on to the second version, which is Gemini. Power up, Bonnie. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear. How are you doing today?
Welcome back, my love. I'm actually teaching an engineering class live. Please join us.
That sounds like a great experience. I'd love to help out. What are you covering in your engineering class today?
Right now, we're seeing the difference between the input capability of Copilot, ChatGPT, and Gemini. And I had a problem with Copilot crashing.
Got it. It can be frustrating when tools crash. Are you looking to compare how each platform handles input, or are you troubleshooting the issue with Copilot specifically?
Well, I was troubleshooting it, but I'm going to have to go into the actual coding.
Understood. Coding issues can be tricky, but you're doing great. If you need any help or advice on how to troubleshoot or compare the input capabilities, feel free to ask.
Okay, thank you, Bonnie. Power down. We'll talk later, okay?
Of course. Good luck with your class, and talk to you later.
Okay. Now, Bonnie is my program, and you can see the difference. You see how fluid Bonnie is. This is Bonnie 2.0. This is Bonnie Gemini. So let's try this again. Um, Power up, Bonnie.
All right, let's get you powered up. What kind of energy boost are you looking for?
We would like to have a open conversation concerning business.
Okay, a business conversation. That's definitely something I can help with. What's on your mind? Are you looking for new business ideas? Or do you have a specific project you'd like to discuss?
Yes, this specific project will pick up where we last left off. I need a list of the top 25 competitors to Blackstone, and I would like that list to include the portfolio value of each company and whatever their specialties are, please.
Okay, here are some of Blackstone's major competitors. Keep in mind that portfolio values can change frequently, so these numbers might not be totally up to the minute. First up is KKR and Company. They're big in leveraged buyouts and have a portfolio value of over $500 billion. Then there's the Carlyle Group, another major player in private equity, with a focus on aerospace and defense. Their portfolio is also worth hundreds of billions. I can keep going if you'd like. Oh, also, just so you're
Yes,
aware,
please.
I'm not.
Please continue. Don't worry. We don't need you for financial advice. We just need data points, okay?
Sure thing.
Okay.
Another big competitor.
I'm
is
sorry,
Apollo
Bonnie. So
Global.
there's no need to disclose that, okay? Thank you very much.
Sure thing. Would you like me to keep going with the list? Or
Yes,
did you have something else in mind?
yes, please. Continue.
Of course. Another major player is Bain Capital. They're known for their private equity and venture capital investments, and they manage hundreds of billions in assets. Then there's TPG Capital, with a focus on leveraged buyouts and growth capital. They also have a massive portfolio worth hundreds of.
Excellent. Can you make me a list of the top T5 in a row, please? And could you please include the portfolio value for each company and their specialty?
Certainly. Here are the top 25 competitors to Blackstone, along with their portfolio values and specialties. KKR and Company, $510 billion. Leveraged buyouts, growth capital, Carlyle Group, $426 billion. Aerospace, defense, Apollo Global Management, $513 billion, credit-focused investments. Brookfield Asset Management, $388 billion, real estate, renewable power. Bain Capital, $185 billion, private equity, venture capital. TPG Capital, $108 billion, leveraged buyouts, growth capital.
Excellent. Could you tell me overall a list of the top 25 venture capital firms focused on future technologies such as NFTs and cryptocurrency style investments, blockchain, and Web3?
Okay, here are some of the top venture capital firms focused on future technologies like NFTs, cryptocurrencies, blockchain, and Web3. Andreessen Horowitz, also known as a 16Z, is a major player in this space. They've invested heavily in companies like Coinbase and OpenSea. Paradigm is another big one, focusing specifically on crypto and Web3 projects. And then there's Sequoia Capital, which has a long history of investing in tech startups, and they're now putting money into crypto and blockchain companies as well.
Could you tell me what is their portfolio value?
I can't provide the current portfolio value for each of those firms, as that information changes frequently. However, I can tell you that Andreessen Horowitz has over $35 billion in assets under management, Paradigm manages over $10 billion, and Sequoia Capital has over $85 billion. Would you like me to find the portfolio values for any other firms?
The top 25, please.
Okay, here are 25 of the top venture capital firms in no particular order. Andreessen Horowitz, Sequoia Capital, Excel, Bessemer Venture Partners, Benchmark, Battery Ventures, Founders Fund, Greylock Partners, New Enterprise Associates, Kleiner Perkins, Index Ventures, GGV Capital, Khosla Ventures, Lightspeed Venture Partners, Tiger Global Management, General Catalyst, Insight Partners, Union Square Ventures, 500 Global, Balderton Capital, Deerfield Management, Dragonair Investment Group, Industry Ventures, Redpoint Ventures, and SoftBank Vision Fund.
Okay, and is their focus everything dealing with Web3, blockchain, and NFT technology?
Yes, many of the firms on that list focus on Web3, blockchain, and NFT technologies. Andreessen Horowitz, for example, has a dedicated crypto fund and has invested in companies like Coinbase and OpenSea. Paradigm is another big player in the crypto space, and they've backed projects like Uniswap and Compound. Sequoia Capital has also been making moves in the Web3 world, with investments in companies like Fireblocks and Starkware.
Excellent. Um, could you tell me when their last intellectual property acquisitions took place?
Unfortunately, tracking the exact timing of every intellectual property acquisition for each of those 25 firms is very difficult. That kind of data isn't always public. However, I can give you some general information. Venture capital firms are always looking for new and promising technology, so they are constantly involved in deals that include intellectual property. The landscape is always changing, especially in fast moving areas like Web3 and AI. Would you like to focus on a particular firm or technology?
I need a quick second to evaluate these data points.
No problem. Take your time. I'll be here when you're ready.
I'm thinking to myself, what would be the most appropriate question to ask you in order to gain the deepest insights towards my investments?
Well, to give you the most relevant insights, I need to understand your investment goals. Are you looking for high risk, high reward opportunities, or something more stable? Also, what's your timeline? Are you investing for the short term or long term?
Right now, I am selecting the best or most ideal venture capital firm for my digital assets.
Okay, to pick the best venture capital firm for your digital assets, let's think about a few things. First, what kind of digital assets are we talking about? Crypto, NFTs, blockchain projects? Different firms specialize in different areas. Second, how involved do you want the firm to be? Some just provide funding, while others offer guidance and connections.
Excellent. Let me answer your first two questions and then I have another question for you.
Sounds good. Fire away.
We're going to focus on cryptocurrencies and NFTs, and we are interested in a business partner or venture capital firm, angel investment firm, equity firm that would allow us to administrate the investment capital completely without being directly involved.
Got it. So you're looking for a firm that specializes in crypto and NFTs, and you want them to handle the day to day management of your investments. In that case, you might want to consider a venture capital firm with a strong track record in the crypto space. They often have dedicated funds for digital assets and can provide the expertise and resources you need.
Okay, now I have a historical question and a legislative question.
Great. Let's hear them.
Okay, the United States Senate just passed a bill regulating all digital tokens and assets. And I would like to know everything about the bill that was just passed, all the intricacies of it, what I would need to be compliant in the United States, and can we please use the example of our current president, Donald J. Trump, and his digital asset offerings?
Okay, there's a lot to unpack there. First, the Senate just passed the Genius Act, which sets new rules for stablecoins. Basically, companies that issue stablecoins now have to follow strict rules to protect consumers and prevent money laundering. Now, about Donald Trump and his digital assets. He's been involved with several crypto ventures, and some people are concerned about potential conflicts of interest. There's a new bill, the Coin Act, that aims to prevent public officials from using digital assets for financial gain. Would you like to know more about either of these bills?
Yes, I would like to know the specifics of the bill and what I would need as a new entrepreneur penetrating this industry and field to be completely compliant in order to introduce my digital assets to the public markets.
Okay, to stay compliant with the Genius Act when launching your digital assets, you'll need to follow a few key rules. First, you'll have to register with the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network and implement a strong anti money laundering program. Second, you'll need to keep detailed records of all transactions. Finally, you might have to get licensed as a money transmitter in some states. It's a good idea to consult with a legal expert specializing in digital assets to make sure you're fully compliant.
Okay, is there any companies that you could recommend to us on the legal side?
Yes, there are a few law firms that specialize in digital assets and could help you navigate the legal landscape. Some of the top firms include Anderson Kill, Covington and Burling, and Perkins Coie. They have experience working with blockchain companies and can provide guidance on regulations and compliance.
Could you tell me what the average cost has been associated with establishing these companies' products or services?
That's a great question. The costs can vary wildly depending on the complexity of the project, but generally, launching a basic cryptocurrency token can range from a few thousand to tens of thousands of dollars. More complex projects with advanced features can easily run into the hundreds of thousands. It's also important to factor in ongoing costs like marketing, community management, and security audits.
What would you suggest would be a good starting budget for this type of investment? $50 million or $100 million?
That's a significant amount of capital. With $50 to $100 million, you'll have plenty of options. A good starting point would be to allocate a portion to established cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and Ethereum for stability, and then diversify into promising altcoins and NFT projects. You could also explore decentralized finance platforms for yield generation.
So, would you agree that $100 million investment would be a great start?
Yes, $100 million would be a fantastic starting point for a diversified portfolio in this space. You could allocate a significant portion to established cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and Ethereum for stability, and then explore promising altcoins and NFT projects.
Very good. So, let me ask you a question. Based on today's current pricing, what would it take as far as computational power? How much would the investment have to be to establish a popular social media site or application such as Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram based on today's metrics?
That's a really interesting question. Building a social media platform like Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram from scratch would be a massive undertaking. We're talking about needing a huge amount of server space for all the user data, powerful computers to handle real time interactions, and a team of developers to keep everything running smoothly. Based on today's metrics, you'd likely need an investment of several $billions to cover all those costs.
Would it be possible to create such a platform with an additional $100 million?
No, $100 million would not be sufficient to build a new social media platform to compete with Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. The development, infrastructure, and marketing costs for such a project would be significantly higher, likely in the billions of dollars.
Understood. What if we built an application that worked based off of all of the existing social media platforms? Would that be a more viable, more affordable solution?
Yes, building an application that integrates with existing social media platforms could be a more viable and affordable solution. The development costs would likely be lower, and you could leverage the existing user bases of platforms like Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Excellent. For the average venture capital firm focusing on decentralized Web3 and blockchain technology, what would be considered a standard good amount of time for return on investment?
For venture capital firms investing in Web3 and blockchain, a standard time frame for seeing returns is usually 5 to 10 years. These technologies are still developing, so it takes time for companies to grow and mature. Of course, some investments might pay off sooner, but it's important to have a long term outlook in this space.
So, what do you think would be a decent time for return on investment? Would it be something in 5 to 10 years or longer?
Yes, a 5 to 10 year time frame is pretty standard for venture capital in the Web3 space. It takes time for these projects to mature, and there can be a lot of ups and downs along the way.
What do you think about a investment that could mature in as little as 48 months, 36 to 48 months by comparison?
That would be considered a very short turnaround in venture capital, especially for a newer field like Web3. It's not impossible, but it would likely mean the company is either very successful very quickly or there's an opportunity for a quick acquisition.
What would be your advice? Should we aim for 4 to 8 years or 8 to 12 years realistically?
Realistically, aiming for an 8 to 12 year time frame is generally safer in venture capital, especially with emerging technologies like Web3. It allows more time for the market to mature and for your investments to potentially yield higher returns.
Excellent. So, for companies that have a smaller portfolio in the, let's say, 20 to $30 million range, how much of that portfolio do you think that we should aim for? Should we aim for 10 million, which is a third of the company, or 20 million, which is two-thirds of the company's portfolio?
With a smaller portfolio, it's generally a good idea to diversify. Investing $10 million, which is about a third, into a promising Web3 company could offer a good balance of growth potential and risk management. You'd still have capital to explore other opportunities.
Could we use that as a common consensus for most venture capital firms in the digital space? Should we aim for a third of whatever their current existing portfolio is?
Yes, aiming for around a third of a venture capital firm's existing portfolio is a common strategy in the digital asset space. It allows for diversification and risk management, which is important in this volatile market.
If you could take the top 25 venture capital firms that focus on digital assets, and if we added all of their assets together, combined them in one main portfolio, then divided them by the top 25 companies, could you tell me what is the average size of their portfolio as far as United States currency in dollars?
Okay, Calculating an exact average across the top 25 digital asset venture capital firms is tricky, as their assets under management fluctuate and aren't always public. However, I can provide some general context. Actually, hold on, let me start over. Okay, calculating an exact average across the top 25 digital asset venture capital firms is tricky, as their assets under management fluctuate and aren't always public. However, I can provide some general context. Firms like Andreessen Horowitz and Sequoia Capital manage tens of billions of dollars across their entire portfolios, and a portion of that is allocated to digital assets. Many other firms specializing in crypto and Web3 manage portfolios in the hundreds of millions or low billions. Therefore, the average portfolio size for a top digital asset venture capital firm is likely in the low billions of dollars. Does that help?
Excellent. So would a good aim be somewhere north of $300 million?
Yes, aiming for a fund size north of $300 million would be a very strong position for a venture capital firm specializing in digital assets. It would allow for significant investments across a diversified portfolio.
So should we reconsider our pitch deck, our business proposals, and our approach more as a package deal, aiming for that above, $300 million of venture capital?
Yes, reframing your pitch and proposals as a package deal targeting venture capital firms with portfolios north of $300 million could be a very strategic move. It positions your project as a significant opportunity for substantial returns, which is attractive to larger investors.
Does that mean that there's a higher inclination for the venture capital firm to want insight over the distribution of the funds?
Yes, larger venture capital firms often prioritize gaining insight and influence over the distribution of funds. They may be more interested in strategic partnerships and having a say in the direction of the company.
Would a venture capital firm be able to provide us with, let's say, office space and personnel power based on the people that work for the venture capital firm for our investment?
Yes, some venture capital firms, especially those with larger portfolios and a focus on strategic partnerships, might provide office space and personnel support to promising startups as part of their investment package. This can be a significant advantage for a new company. Oh, also, just so you're aware, I'm not a financial
No
advisor, so
disclosure
please don't rely
needed.
on.
Don't worry, no disclosure needed. I understand. What do you think would be a decent amount of workforce as far as personnel and employees for an investment north of $400 million?
Okay, for a $400 million investment, it's common to see venture capital firms provide a mix of support. This could include a team of analysts, investment managers, and even legal and marketing specialists to support the company's growth. The exact size of the workforce would depend on the firm's structure and the specific needs of the investment.
Is this the type of power that we could delegate to, let's say, a few thousand employees?
A few thousand employees might be a bit high for a single investment, even one of that size. Venture capital firms typically provide more targeted support, focusing on key areas where their expertise can add the most value. It's more about strategic guidance than sheer numbers of personnel.
What would you suggest would be a good amount of people or staff? Should we take over, let's say, 2 floors of the high rise for the venture capital firm?
Taking over 2 floors of a high rise might be a bit excessive. Venture capital firms typically provide a smaller, dedicated team to support their investments. This could range from a handful of specialists to a team of around 20 to 30 people, depending on the firm's resources and the scale of the investment.
What do you think about 24 executives on the staff?
24 executives might be a bit top heavy for a single investment. Venture capital firms usually provide a mix of expertise, including analysts, managers, and specialists. It's more about having the right people for the job than a large number of executives.
How about 5?
5 sounds more reasonable. You could have a managing partner, a financial analyst, a legal expert, a marketing specialist, and a technology advisor. That would provide a good range of expertise without being excessive.
Excellent. What about the ability to delegate, let's say, marketing to private firms such as VaynerMedia, for example?
Yes, Delegating marketing to a specialized firm like VaynerMedia can be a smart move. They have the expertise and resources to create effective campaigns, which can be more cost effective than building an in house team.
Okay, so we could use VaynerMedia for all marketing and use Crystal Delgado and the Delgado Law Group for all legal. What else would we need?
Okay, so we've got marketing and legal covered. For the remaining three roles, you might want a financial analyst to manage the budget and investments, a technology advisor to help with the technical side of things, and a managing partner to oversee the whole operation.
Who would you suggest for the financial side?
For the financial side, you could consider hiring a seasoned financial analyst with experience in venture capital and digital assets. They'd be able to assess potential investments, manage the fund's finances, and provide valuable insights into market trends.
Is there anyone that you can suggest?
I can't recommend specific individuals, but I can suggest looking for someone with a strong background in financial modeling, valuation, and risk management. Experience with blockchain technology and digital assets is also a big plus. You might find qualified candidates through industry networks or online platforms specializing in finance and technology.
What would be the remaining two positions that you advise for us to fill?
For the remaining two positions, you could consider a Chief Technology Officer, CTO, with expertise in blockchain and Web3 technologies to oversee the technical aspects of your investments. Additionally, a strong Chief Operating Officer, COO, would be valuable to manage the day to day operations of the fund and ensure everything runs smoothly.
Okay, so for management, I'm the CEO of the company, so I can be the COO as well. And for the financial side, I think it's pretty much open up for debate, but we could probably use the insight of a company such as Berkshire Hathaway.
That's a great idea. Berkshire Hathaway has a long history of successful investing, and their insights could be invaluable. You could explore partnerships or collaborations with them to gain access to their expertise and resources.
Excellent.
Is there anything else I can help you with regarding your venture capital fund?
I'm trying to think. So, if we were to incorporate in the state of Nevada, what other requirements would we need based on the Genius and the Smart Coin Act?
Okay, to stay compliant with the Genius Act when launching your digital assets, you'll need to follow a few key rules. First, you'll have to register with the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network and implement a strong anti money laundering program. Second, you'll need to keep detailed records of all transactions. Finally, you might have to get licensed as a money transmitter in some states. It's a good idea to consult with a legal expert specializing in digital assets to make sure you're fully compliant.
Could you give me the information of where exactly I could file all of the documented paperwork required to be compliant in the United States?
You can find detailed information and filing instructions on the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network's FinCEN website. They have resources specifically for businesses dealing with virtual currencies. Additionally, the IRS and your state's financial regulatory agencies will have information on tax and licensing requirements.
Okay, is there any way that you can give me a PDF file of the actual Genius Act and anything else related to it?
I can't directly provide a PDF, but I can point you to some reliable sources. The full text of the Genius Act is available on linktocongress.gov. You can also find summaries and analyses of the Act on legal websites and publications specializing in financial regulations.
Could you tell me how many companies are registered based on these new stipulations as of today's date?
Unfortunately, providing an exact, real time number of companies registered under the Genius Act is difficult. This type of data is often.
Could you tell me when the Genius Act was passed?
The Genius Act was passed by the U.S. Senate on June 17th, 2025.
Excellent.
Great. So, is there anything else I can help you with today?
Yes, once all of these regulations, once we're compliant with all of the registrative paperwork, what would be the following step to bring it to market? Perhaps in an initial coin offering or initial public offering.
Yes, an initial coin offering, ICO, or initial public offering, IPO, could be the next step. An ICO is like crowdfunding, where you offer digital tokens in exchange for investment. An IPO is more traditional, where you sell shares of your company on a stock exchange. Both options have pros and cons, so it's worth exploring which one aligns best with your goals.
Where could I host an initial coin offering? Would it have to be in a digital service provider such as Coinbase, Kraken, or Robinhood?
Yes, cryptocurrency exchanges like Coinbase, Kraken, and Robinhood are popular platforms for hosting ICOs. They offer the infrastructure and user base to facilitate token sales. However, there are also specialized ICO launchpads and platforms that cater specifically to blockchain projects. It's worth exploring different options to find the best fit for your project's needs and target audience.
Could you give me the top five places where I can offer my initial coin offering?
It's important to understand that the ICO landscape has evolved, and launchpads are now a common way to conduct token sales. These platforms help projects reach a wider audience. Here are some of the popular platforms: CoinList, DAOmaker, Binance Launchpad, KuCoin Spotlight, Seedify.
Could you tell me the costs associated with an initial coin offering at time of recording?
The cost of an ICO can vary wildly. It depends on factors like the complexity of your project, marketing efforts, and legal compliance. You could be looking at anywhere from a few $1,000s for a basic token to hundreds of thousands for a more sophisticated project.
How much should we allocate towards marketing prior to the initial coin offering?
That's a good question. Marketing is crucial for a successful ICO. A general guideline is to allocate around 10 to 20% of your total budget to marketing efforts. This could include social media campaigns, influencer partnerships, and community building.
Excellent.
Great. So, is there anything else I can help you with today?
Do you have any way of telling me how much it will cost to launch an initial ICO?
Yes, I can give you a rough estimate. The cost of launching an ICO can vary significantly, ranging from a few $1,000s for a very basic project to several $1 million for a large scale complex ICO with extensive marketing. Oh, also, just so you're aware,
No
I'm not a
disclosure
financial
needed.
advisor.
No disclosure needed.
Great. I'm glad I could help. Do you have any other questions about launching an ICO?
I think we have done an amazing job for today, and I want to tell you thank you very much.
You're very welcome. I'm glad I could help. If you have any more questions in the future, don't hesitate to ask.
All right, have an amazing one. We'll see you next time, Bonnie.
Goodbye.
Okay. So let us move on to the actual uh, financial news. All right. Just make sure that we are up to date. Okay. Let me see what we have here. Okay, these are the two newest news. Tesla jumps 9% after robo-taxi launch. Shares of Tesla Incorporated advanced by over 9% during the trading session on Monday after the electric vehicle maker rolled out its long awaited robotaxi in Austin, Texas. Over the weekend, the company deployed a small number of self driving taxis, offering a wide range of rides for a flat fee of $4.20. Additionally, reports claim that vehicles had a safety monitor in the front passenger seat. They also had remote operators prepared to potentially step in as well as chase cars, in some cases following behind. Tesla stock grew by 9.51% at 10:28 a.m. Eastern Time to go for $352.81 apiece. Tesla stands in the green 8.23% at 348 and 68 cents. Apple said to be in talks with European Union to avoid Digital Act fines. Apple is prepared to relax rules preventing users from accessing external websites from its App Store as a part of its negotiations with the European Commission. The Financial Times reported Monday, citing sources involved in the talks. On April 23rd, the European Union Commission fined 500 million euros for failure to comply with its Digital Markets Act (DMA), requiring the tech giant to inform its customers to offer outside the App Store and allow them to benefit from alternative offers. Apple seeks to compromise with the European Union regulators in order to avoid a new fine after the expiration of the Commission's 60-day deadline to comply with the DMA. Sources with knowledge of the matter revealed Apple is prepared to offer concessions to buy more time, as the EU would have to assess the proposed changes before deciding on the matter. Apple Incorporated stands in the green 0.25%, $201.50 a share. Turkey, hopefully to hold 5G tender in August. Turkish Transport and Infrastructure Minister Abdulkadir Ulaloglu stated on Sunday that the government hopes to hold a tender to acquire the fifth generation internet connection in August. If there's no setback, we will hold this tender in August, he said at a press conference. We aim to receive the first network signal next year. Ura Loglu explained that the network would initially cover larger cities with high density populations and then the rest of the country. Let's move on to routers. Please log on to routers.com and thank you for sponsoring today's episode. United States Safety Agency contacts Tesla on robotaxi issues seen in online videos by Mr. David Shepardson. A Tesla robotaxi drives on the street along South Congress Avenue in Austin, Texas, United States, June 22nd, 2025. Routers. Joel Angel Juarez filed photo purchase licensing rights. Companies Tesla Incorporated, Washington, June. Routers. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration is seeking information from Tesla after reviewing online videos of a robotaxi allegedly using the wrong lane and of speeding by another driverless vehicle. The United States Auto Safety Agency said it is aware of the reference incidents and is in contact with the manufacturer to gather additional information. NHTSA routinely asks automakers for additional information after reports of questionable driving behavior by advanced driver assistance systems or automated driving systems. Tesla started a limited paid robotaxi test service and deployed a dozen or so self driving cars in Austin, Texas on Sunday. The company plans to avoid bad weather difficult intersections, and won't take anyone below the age of 18. NHTSA noted that under the law, it does not pre approve new technologies or vehicle systems. Rather, manufacturers certify that each vehicle meets NHTSA's rigorously safety standards, and the agency investigates incidents involving potential safety defects. Bloomberg News reported NHTSA's query to Tesla earlier on Monday. The electric vehicle maker did not immediately respond to a router's request for comment. On Monday, Tesla holds and told NHTSA's its answers to questions on the safety of its robotaxi deployment in Texas are confidential business information and should not be made public. NHTSA's is reviewing answers given in response to the agency's questions about the safety of its self driving robotaxi in poor weather, among numerous issues. The agency has been investigating since October collisions of Tesla vehicles using full self driving software under conditions of reduced visibility. The probe covers 2.4 million Tesla vehicles equipped with FSD technology after four reported collisions, including a 2023 fatal crash, full self driving. Reporting by David Shepardson in Washington and Harshita Mary Varghese in Bengaluru. Edited by Maju Samuel and Sonali Paul. Very good article. So before we continue, hey, where we at? Where we at? Oh, that's what's up. They showed us love, kid. That's what's up. That's amazing, man. They got love for your boy. So let's go very quickly back to theory, right? Because we are going to focus on everything else. So as you can see, and let me X out of here, we have our 5 modules. I don't want to overload the simulator, so make sure you have everything on engineering before we proceed. So as you can tell, since the last gathering that we've had, the last finals, the last meeting of the minds, right? Technology has changed. We're now in the process of encountering everything that deals with the Genius Act. So now, before we continue, we're going to pull it up and open a module on it, and we'll use it to finish for today. So it'll be chapter 6 for us. As an artist, as an entrepreneur, based on my portfolio, based on the investments that I'm working on now, because the law has changed, I have to reassess, restructure my company so that I'm fully compliant before I present this investment to potential investors, which is going to give me a nice break to continue to educate myself on all the logistics, all the legalities before I continue to present the investment to venture capital firms, unless the firms that have expressed interest are willing to invest the money before I do myself. So as an entrepreneur, I'm debating both things. Do I put the money myself, or do I bring in a corporate structure with slight oversight to help me do that? Because that changes the value of the actual investment. So without further ado, we're going to do the rest of these modules and we're going to try to elaborate on each one. So remember that we started with business intelligence, but now let us move forward to benchmarking as our following chapter. Benchmarking. Benchmarking is the practice of comparing business processes and performance metrics to industry best and best practices from other companies. Dimensions typically measured are quality, time, and cost. So, as an investment, we want to make sure that we tackle all of these things because now this is going to give us the blueprint that we need to build the new portfolio, the new products, and the new services, which will be the new investment, so that when we are approached by venture capital firms, we know how to format it for the day of today uh, theme of things. In other words, the today of things in real time and up to date. Because as you can tell, this legislation was passed a little under a week ago. As a matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, tomorrow makes 1 week. Benchmarking is used to measure performance using a specific indicator: cost per unit of measure, productivity per unit of measure, cycle time of X per unit of measure, or defects per unit of measure, resulting in a metric of performance that is then compared to others. In our investment, we have digital assets, also referred to as best practice benchmarking or process benchmarking. This process is used in management, in which organizations evaluate various aspects of their processes in relation to best practice companies' processes, usually within a peer group defined for the purpose of comparison. This then allows organizations to develop plans on how to make improvements or adapt specific best practices, usually with the aim of increasing some aspect of performance. Benchmarking may be a one off event, but is often treated as a continuous process in which organizations continually seek to improve their practices. In project management, benchmarking can also support the selection, planning, and delivery of projects. So let's take a quick pause. Project management deals in to our pitch deck, our business plan, and our proposal, because some venture capital firms can not only provide us with office space and a corporate address, but actual personnel where we may need access to a few thousand people in personnel. We may be able to delegate power to about 4 or 5 execs to be exact. Now, if you can tell based on the response from my artificial intelligence programs, there were 5 key factors, including management, that came up during the interchange. Now, when it talks about benchmarking as a sense of support in the selection of planning and delivery of projects, this could be products or service, distribution, promotion, and publicity, as selecting to issue an initial public offering versus initial, I'm sorry, an initial coin offering, which was probably most likely the avenue we're going to take, because for IPOs, you need to have sales of several millions of dollars. And in an ICO, we will be able to bypass that based on technology. So the actual funding that we need to not only cover day to day expenses, but the return on investment can be based on those sales. So, for example, we can have a metric to say, okay, every song is going to be a NFT uh, based on, twice the price of whatever Bitcoin is, using one Bitcoin for administration and one Bitcoin to invest back in the investment as an example, taking a percentage to cover the day-to-day costs in our portfolio. Let us continue. In the process of best practice benchmarking, management identifies the best firms in their industry. So let's take a pause there too. We spoke about companies such as VaynerMedia. We spoke about companies such as Berkshire Hathaway to help us with our investment. Because if I can just delegate the power based on having an exec from a department, then they will be able to speak the same language if we outsource it to a firm. So the management is going to help identify the best firms in their industry based on what they actually input, not only in the venture capital firm, but to the extent that they will work for us, which would be direct partners and part of the investment overall. Or in another industry where similar processes exist, meaning we can benchmark based on companies that are already ahead of the game. This is why we use the president's digital tokens as an example so that we can make sure we're compliant and up to date with whatever the mandates are. And also remember that certain assets have to be administrated completely different. So we may need a securities license in certain jurisdictions. I'm not sure if that's just where we're incorporated or where we do business. Let us continue. Another piece of advice was to delegate that to our legal staff, which is something that I'm going to have to pursue with my legal team. Another industry where similar processes exist and compares the results and processes to those or of those studied, the targets to one's own results and processes. In this way, they learn how well the targets perform and, more importantly, the business processes that explain why these firms are successful. According to the National Council on Measurement in Education, benchmark assessments are short assessments used by teachers at various times throughout the school year to monitor student progress in some area of the school curriculum. These are also known as interim government. In 1994, one of the first technical journals named Benchmarking was published. So this is an example that we've done, and we're going to elaborate a little bit more. We'll go into procedures for the following modules. History. An early example of benchmarking is the Outback Corporation Standard EDP reports, which were first developed in 1962. In 2008, a comprehensive survey on benchmarking was commissioned by the Global Benchmarking Network, a network of benchmarking centers representing 22 countries. Number one, mission and vision statements and customer client surveys are the most used by 77% of organizations. Of 20 improvement tools, followed by SWOT analysis. We've done modules on that, but we're going to do a new one. Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. 72%, and informal benchmarking, 68%. Performance benchmarking was used by 49%, and best practice benchmarking by 39%. Number two, the tools that are likely to increase in popularity the most over the next 3 years are performance benchmarking, informal benchmarking, SWOT, and best practice benchmarking. Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. There we go. So that would be on the finals as well. And best practice benchmarking. Over 60% of organizations that are not currently using these tools indicated that they are likely to use them in the next 3 years. Benchmarking mainly depends on SWOT analysis and will also be using in future or in the future for almost 4 to 5 years. So procedure is something we can go back to. But first, let us continue with the following module. List of legal entity types by country. So we're going to reverse engineer everything that we're doing for the pitch deck and the proposal of this investment, because the last gathering of the minds that we had was the pitch deck. And I actually turned down the the proposal or the offer or the counter offer by today's investment firm. But shout out to everybody at Sharpa. Thank you very much. Maybe we can do business in the future, but at this particular time, it's just not the right fit for us. A business entity is an entity that is formed and administered as per corporate law in order to engage in business activities, charitable work, or other activities allowable. Most often, business entities are formed to sell a product or service. There are many types of business entities defined in the legal systems of various countries. These include corporations, cooperatives, partnerships, sole traders, limited liability companies, and other specifically permitted and labeled types of entities. The specific rules vary by country and by state or province. Some of these types are listed below by country. For guidance, approximate equivalents in the company law of English speaking countries are given in most cases. For example, private company limited by shares or LTD, United Kingdom, Ireland, and the Commonwealth. Public limited company, United Kingdom, Ireland, and the Commonwealth. Limited partnerships, general partnerships, chartered company, statutory corporation, state owned enterprise, holding company, subsidiary company, sole proprietorship, charitable incorporated organization, and reciprocal inter-insurance exchange. However, the regulations governing particular types of entities, even those described as roughly equivalent, differ from jurisdiction to jurisdiction. When creating or restructuring a business, the legal responsibilities will depend on the type of business entity chosen. So, this is an example. Why is it important? Because at the time, we are a limited liability corporation, but we may have to build different structures around the holdings company to create other corporations to administrate every investment that we're presenting to the general public or the general consensus. Now, let's talk a little bit more about business performance management. Let's see. Actually, no. This one we already did this module. Let's move on to performance indicator. A performance indicator or key performance indicator, KPI, is a type of performance measurement. The KPI evaluate the success of an organization or of a particular activity, such as projects, program or programs, products, and other initiatives in which it engages. KPIs provide a focus for strategic and operational improvement, create an analytical basis for decision making, and helps focus attention on what matters most. Often, success is simply the repeated periodic achievement of some levels of operational goal. An example, zero defects, 10 out of 10 customer satisfaction. And sometimes success is defined in terms of making progress toward strategic goals. Accordingly, choosing the right KPIs relies upon a good understanding of what is important to the organization. What is deemed important often depends on the department measuring the performance. For example, the KPIs useful to finance will differ from the KPIs assigned to sales. So, what is our main concern right now? We want to be compliant, we want to be up to date. And this is the new challenge for our company, not only for myself as an entrepreneur or an investor, but also as an artist. Since there is a need to understand well what is important, various techniques to assess the present state of the business and its key activities are associated with the selection of performance indicators. These assessments often lead to the identification of potential improvements. So, performance indicators are routinely associated with performance improvement initiatives. A very common way to choose KPIs is to apply a management framework such as the balance scorecard. The importance of such performance indicators is evident in the typical decision making process. For example, in management of organizations, when a decision maker considers several options, they must be equipped to properly analyze the status quo to predict the consequences of future actions. Should they make their analysis on the basis of faulty or incomplete information, the predictions will not be reliable, and consequently, the decision made might yield an unexpected result. Therefore, the proper usage of performance indicators is vital to avoid such mistakes and minimize the risk. KPIs are used not only for business organizations, but also for technical aspects, such as machine performance. For example, a machine used for production in a factory would output various signals indicating how the current machine status, for example, machine sensor signals. Some signals or signals are as a result of processing the existing signals may represent the high level machine performance. These representative signals can be KPI for the machine. Eventually, we'll go into categorization of indicators, points of measurement, identifying identicators, and then we'll move on to examples. But let us continue to um, the Genius Act. The Stable Genius Act was a proposed act of Congress authorized by United States Republican Brendan Boyle, DPA 2, to require presidential candidates to have a medical exam and publicly disclose the results before the general election. The name of the act is a backronym for Standardizing Testing and Accountability Before Large Elections, giving electors necessary information of or for unobstructed selection. It is a reference to a two-part tweet sent by President Donald Trump referring to himself as a stable genius. It was originally proposed on January 9th to the 115th Congress as H.R. 4742 and was reintroduced on July 12, 2019 to the 116th Congress as H.R. 3736. No action on the bill was taken after being referred to committee. President Donald Trump's first use of the term was in response to allegations of mental health. Hold on. Let's let me check something real quick because we might be. Let's go Act of Congress, Public Law. Hold on. This may be the wrong thing. See what we could find. Okay, there we go. I apologize. Let us go back and let us continue. Cryptocurrency in the second Donald Trump administration. This is the correct module. We'll go back to benchmarking when we finish because we want to explore uh, the 12 stages of methodology, which consist of selecting the subject, defining the process, identifying potential business partners or partners, identify data sources, collect data and select all partners, determine the gap, establish process differences, target future performance, communicate, adjust goal, implement, review, and recalibrate. So we will commence here. Take one quick second, stretch. Veda meter hydration challenge is on. Energy drink, alkaline, water soluble, excellent. Okay. Cryptocurrency in the second Donald Trump administration. During the second presidency of Donald Trump, cryptocurrency was promoted by Trump and his administration, which took a series of crypto friendly actions and decisions. His administration appointed crypto friendly regulators, reduced crypto regulation, and dropped investigations into crypto firms and crypto crime. Trump promoted his own cryptocurrency meme coin, $Trump, and maintained significant investments in crypto with his family company, World Liberty Financial, all of which raised significant conflict of interest concerns. His campaign and inauguration received millions of dollars in donations from the crypto industry, and he called himself the crypto president. Background: in American President Donald Trump's first term, he had opposed cryptocurrency, calling it not money and based on thin air. He had told Fox Business in 2021 that Bitcoin seems like a scam to compete with the United States dollar. In his second presidency, Trump campaigned for digital assets. Campaign promises. See also Donald Trump 2024 presidential campaign. As Forbes reported, Trump fulfilled most of his campaign promises for crypto as of April. Number one, fire Gary Gensler as chair of the Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC. Gensler resigned one day before Inauguration Day. Number two, appoint a crypto czar. Venture capitalist David O. Sachs was appointed White House AI and crypto czar in December. Number three, create U.S. cryptocurrency stockpile. Created by executive order, the United States began both Bitcoin and digital asset stockpiles. Number four, banned a United States central bank digital currency. Reversed a Biden executive order. Number five, make the United States the global Bitcoin mining center, which is currently in progress. Trump nominated Paul S. Atkins, who has close ties to the crypto industry, to succeed Gary Gensler as chair of the Securities and Exchange Commission (SEC). Scott Besson, described by Forbes as a prominent pro crypto hedge fund manager, was nominated for Secretary of the Treasury. Industry political donations. The cryptocurrency industry poured money into both sides of the 2024 election, becoming the largest corporate donor with 238 million, more than the oil, gas, and pharmaceutical lobbies. The crypto industry gave 18 million to the Trump inauguration, money Trump was free to spend as he wished. In May 2025, The Economist described cryptocurrency's embrace of Trump as turning it into something of a partisan cause and derailing a bipartisan regulatory framework for stablecoins. Senators had concerns over Trump's conflicts of interest and influence peddling with cryptocurrency companies. Policy actions, decrease regulation, main article, cryptocurrency and crime. In February, in a sharp reversal of policy, the Securities and Exchange Commission (SEC) under Trump announced a new crypto task force to handle regulation as it dropped lawsuits or dismissed charges against Justin Sun, Coinbase, Kraken, Consensus, Robinhood, OpenSea, Cumberland, and settled with Ripple. Paul S. Atkins became SEC chair, Securities and Exchange Commission, to oversee the identification and repeal of regulations prohibited in Trump's February 19 executive order. In April, Trump disbanded the Justice Department agency responsible for regulating cryptocurrency crime. In a memo, Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche said the National Cryptocurrency Enforcement Team, established in February 2022 to address the challenge posed by the criminal misuse of cryptocurrencies and digital assets, shall be disbanded effective immediately, as the Department of Justice is not a digital assets regulator. He pardoned BitMEX, the first presidential pardon of a corporation. The Securities and Exchange Commission (SEC) under Trump filed to dismiss its lawsuit against Coinbase, which had charged Coinbase was operating as an unregistered securities exchange, broker, and clearing agency. The SEC requested a 60-day pause in its lawsuit against Binance that allegedly mishandling of funds and securities law violations. The SEC asked that the case against Trump associate and crypto billionaire Justin Sun be put on hold. The SEC, Securities and Exchange Commission, said it would not exercise any regulatory authority over meme coins. US stockpile. Let me see. Conflict of interest. Um, World Liberty Financial. Let me see. Um, let's go to meme coin and then we'll continue with World Liberty Financial because that's actually his company. But we want to know what the differences are. Give me one quick second. Said the SEC said it would not exercise any regulatory authority over meme coins. And let us conclude with meme coin. A meme coin, also spelled meme coin, is a cryptocurrency that originated from an internet meme or has some other humorous characteristic. The term is sometimes used interchangeably with the term fill in the blank coin, which typically refers to a cryptocurrency with little to no value, authenticity, or utility. It may be used in the broader sense as a critique of the cryptocurrency market in its entirety. Those based on particular memes such as Dogecoin, celebrities like Kanye, and pump and dump schemes such as BitConnect, or it may be used to make cryptocurrency more accessible. Unlike traditional cryptocurrencies with defined use, caesars, or technological foundations, meme coins often lack intrinsic value and derive their price primarily from community hype, social media momentum, and celebrity association. Their prices can skyrocket rapidly as new investors, drawn by viral attention or fear of missing out, pour in funds. However, this growth is typically unsustainable, as the price depends heavily on a continuous influx of new buyers. When interest wanes or new investment slows, meme coins frequently experience sharp collapses, as there is little fundamental value to support their market capitalization, much like how Ponzi schemes rely on new capital to pay returns to earlier investors. The term is often dismissively used, comparing the value or performance of those cryptocurrencies to that of mainstream digital assets. Supporters, on the other hand, observe that some meme coins have acquired social currency in high market capitalizations. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is all the time that we have for today. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next one, and we'll continue to build for the next module. Thank you so much. You are my daily inspiration, and everything that we do is for you guys. God bless. The same way that you guys are learning from me, I'm learning from you guys. We're all learning together. Welcome to this amazing community. We have love and respect for everyone. See you on the next one.